video what I eat in a day. So as some of you might or might not know, I'm half Turkish. So I thought it would be fun to theme today's video and really cook up Turkish recipes. To give you an idea if you're new to Turkish cuisine, the key ingredients are, I'd say, parsley, tomato, lemon and dried mint. At least I feel like that's something you find in any Turkish recipe, but I might be wrong. Anyway, before I start talking too much, let's get into the video and start by making breakfast because I'm hungry. Okay, first things first, we're dicing 1 green bell pepper. And we're also chopping about half a brown onion or yellow onion, whatever you want to call it. Time to get cooking. Here I'm heating up some olive oil before adding in the onion as well as the bell pepper. Next I'm adding half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, half a teaspoon ground paprika, and let it saute for a bit before then adding 1 tin of cherry tomatoes, half a teaspoon of black salt, half a teaspoon of mint flakes and some cracked black pepper. After letting it simmer for a moment, I gracefully added some silken tofu. Let that simmer for a few more minutes and it's ready to serve. I garnished it with some fresh parsley and ate it with a slice of toasted wholemeal bread. This was so warming and flavoursome. I was actually wondering why I don't make it more often. A little later on, I also made myself a cup of Turkish black tea, which I bought last time I was in Turkey. In Turkey, they actually make the tea in a special kettle, which is basically 2 kettles on top of each other. One for water and one for the tea. The one with the tea is very strong though, so when you pour yourself a cup of tea, you'd only use like a little bit of the tea and then fill up the rest using the water from the other kettle. And the tea would typically be served in a tea glass looking similar to this. So before we get into the lunch recipe, I have to admit that this recipe isn't going to be 100% authentic because the original recipe calls for bulgur. And I'm going to be using couscous, wholemeal couscous to be exact, because I just couldn't find any bulgur. And the recipe usually also calls for a pepper paste, which I also couldn't find. But that's fine, I'm pretty confident it's gonna taste just as good this way. So, we're gonna need 1 cup of couscous, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 1 teaspoon of ground paprika. And then we'll make sure to stir it in before adding 1 1/3 cup of boiling water. Now this will need to sit for a bit until we can fluff it with a fork. And mix in 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Make sure everything is evenly combined. While the couscous was sitting, I prepared the juice of 1 lemon, half a bunch of parsley, 1 tomato, and 5 spring onions. Now let's add that in along with some garlic powder and salt and pepper to taste. Mix that all together and it's nearly ready. So in Turkey this dish is usually served with lettuce as you're supposed to eat it that way. As dinner in Turkey usually starts with a soup, we are making this recipe first by placing 3 tomatoes in an oven-safe dish and stuffing half a garlic clove in each one of them. Pour over that some olive oil and sprinkle on some ground black pepper, some salt, and some thyme before placing it in the preheated oven for about 20 minutes. Afterwards, we will need to remove the skins before blending everything in a heat-proof blender. Now set that aside and heat up in a saucepan 1 tablespoon of olive oil and stir in 1 tablespoon of flour until it thickens. Now add in the tomato mixture and stir well before also adding 2 cups of water. Again, stir well and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Then add some salt if necessary and we can plate it up. Lastly, we're adding a splash of lemon and some mint flakes. On to course number 2. Here I'm just sauteing 1 diced onion. Then I'm adding 1 cup of brown rice, 2 cups of water, 1 heaped teaspoon of mint flakes, some salt and ground black pepper. And now I'm just letting that cook until all the water is absorbed. Next we're cutting up a bell pepper like so and remove the insides. Then we'll do exactly the same for 2 more peppers. When the rice has finished cooking, we're stirring in 1 tin of rinsed chickpeas to then stuff the peppers with this mixture. Now the peppers are going into a saucepan. And we'll cover them with their tops. Obviously, remove the seeds first. Now we're just gonna add the tiniest bit of water to fill the bottom of the pan and also pour some olive oil on top. Okay, please don't judge, but the lid for this pan is broken, so I had to use a plate to cover it while letting it cook for about 30 minutes on low to medium heat. Afterwards, they should look something like this. I only had the green one and topped it with nutritional yeast and some hemp seed. Alright, that's it for today. As always, you can find all recipes down below in the description box, and I'll talk to you soon.